All right, so interesting note about the Legacy Open that's about to happen in about a half hour. That's going to get underway. In the last hour, the Star City Games booth, and remember, there are a lot of vendors here. In the last hour, the Star City Games booth, or actually, I guess, never mind. Star City booth has sold over 30 ley lines of Sanctity.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
8 play sets of Leyline of Sanctity. People really want to be protected, I guess. What do you think's flying around that they need that against?
I don't know. I don't think that card's very good. Even when I play the decks that people are leylining me against, I normally just win anyway. I like when I play Storm and people are leylining as their sideboard card against me as Storm. I'm always so happy. It's like the best sideboard card I can see.
Because it's the last card you have to deal with, right?
Yeah, you just when you're going off, you look through your entire deck anyway. Like you only need one card to deal with that. It doesn't actually prevent you from going off. It just prevents like the last little piece.
Right.
I don't think that's a very good sideboard card. It's obviously good against burn. So that's
auto win against.
Just about an auto win.
It's also great against the him decks.
Yeah, if somebody's playing more than 8 discard spells against you and you have to turn 1 leyline, you've just cut them pretty hard.
Yeah, it's really good. So there you see our finalists, Dave Sharfman on the left, Andrew Wilson on the right. One of these players will be crowned the Star City Open champion. One will have to settle for a plaque. So your money's on Sharfman then?
My money's on Sharfman. Obviously you want Ferguson Obliterator in the tournament.
I'm going to stick with my guns, stick with Andrew Wilson, Black Blue Zombies.
Dave Sharfman takes a sip of his delicious beverage. Was that Coca-Cola Classic, or does he actually have a Jolt? Have you even seen a Jolt in a long time?
About as recently as I've seen Surge. One of the top 3 sodas of all time.
See, Jolt is classic, man. Jolt and EverQuest can count for multiple years of my life.
Let us know what you think, Surge or Jolt.
Surge or Jolt. We'd like a tweet us. We're doing a poll.
So I think Andrew's secret weapon in this matchup is really that goatee, that dashing goatee. What do you think?
That's a good-looking goatee.
It is. It's really well groomed, and I think it's going to power him to victory.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson. He looks like a young John Muir.
Ooh, wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it is.
John Muir is one of my favorite historical figures of all time, and I hadn't really thought about it until just now. That I just looked at him and was like, wow.
If you don't know him, look him up and check out his image because wow.
All right, so the game's underway now. Both players just land going for the first few turns. Andrew Wilson on his 3rd turn. Does he want to go for a Dral's Messenger here? That's it's risky just doing that 2 open mana on David's side of the table.
Yeah, I think he has to though, because if you don't, what happens is Sharpman just gets to cast a Think Twice instead.
All right, so it's Diregraph Captain, and not as threatening as Dral's Messenger.
Nope.
Perhaps leading with the Diregraph Captain.
Yeah, I think that's probably better. But Sharfman just decides to think twice.
I like leading with the Diregraph Captain there, but it looks like David actually drew the Mana Link off the top with that Think Twice.
Ouch.
So, here Andrew, playing well, trying to avoid the cards that are strongest against him, and he actually gets punished for it a little bit. Fume Spitter.
Not sure why that guy's pre-combat, but it shouldn't matter much. Sharfman takes 2, it looks like. Down to 18. And does not flashback Think Twice. That's interesting. Probably didn't want to have to discard.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
You're on the draw.
And that should probably signify to Andrew Wilson that he has most everything he needs now.
Yeah, not only does... he doesn't want to discard, but that means all his cards are good against Andrew.
Right, that too. Andrew Wilson, Mortar Pod, leaving Mana Leak mana up. Don't think Sharfman would counter that guy anyway. And now Andrew, we'll see what Andrew does with that Germ Token. Just says go.
Very reasonable.
Yep.
David, gonna dig a little bit.
Yep. I think there's definitely a case to be made for shooting Sharfman, then equipping the mortar pod to the captain. But I'm not sure that that's going to matter.
I don't know. It seems unlikely that that matters because then, you know, he could still zenith it for lethal, and as long as he hits his land drop, but he's going to hit his land drop because he didn't think twice at the end step.
Right.
There's no chance he's going to miss it.
Actually, a better play would have been to shoot Sharfman for 1 and equip to the Fume Spitter. That way the Fume Spitter does 1 extra in case David untaps and lands a curse. That probably would have been the tightest play.
Good morning, players. We are taking signups for the
that would have been the best play for
sure.
But at the same time, Andrew Wilson might want to keep man up for some sort of instant.
Yeah, we don't know what he has in his hand.
Something like a Gets Verdict.
We've already got a bunch of people who are interested in standard win boxes. So come on up and see Aaron. He'll get you signed up for any assignments that you're looking to play.
David Sharfman takes a card over Blue Sun Zenith, Forbidden Alchemy Mana Leak. So it has to be pretty good if he took it over Blue Sun.
Yeah, he's only got 1 copy of Blue Sun in his deck, and it really kind of gives him this endgame.
Right. Milling it is definitely a big deal.
You know, there are some cards I would take over it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Grave Titan.
Grave Titan, Curse of Deathhold, Black Sun Zenith, all these.
But it doesn't look like it's... it must be Grave Titan.
Diregraph Captain, 2 mana up.
And Mana Leak, for sure.
Yeah, the only way Sharfman won't Mana Leak this is if he plans on Black Sunning.
Next turn.
Next turn, right. And only next turn.
Yeah. It's just hovering here.
And
Hey,
there's the leak.
Very reasonable. 3 coming in. David falls to 12 here from that attack. All right, David going to 11. Andrew shooting him with the mortar pod, and Andrew equipping it to Fume Spitter. Right, that's correct.
Yep. So it looks like he was going to do that line of play, but he wanted to keep the mana up last turn. So now Sharfman flashes back thing twice.
Yeah, having cast that Mana Leak now, he's not going to have to discard after going Land Go on his turn.
Right.
But I don't think he's going to go Land Go this turn. I think he's going to go Land Grave Titan.
That would be a pretty big game.
I mean, considering how the game is played thus far, I can't really imagine that he doesn't have that in his hand, all things considered.
Right. He could have taken, say, a Snapcaster Mage over the Blue Sun. That's a possibility. But we'll see.
Oh, so...
Black Sun for 2.
Black Sun for 2, that's very reasonable.
Fume Spitter shoots Sharfman, brings him to 10. And the Diregraph Captain is whenever another zombie, so that won't trigger. Fume Spitter, of course, not a zombie.
And David may have just drawn that Black Sun Zenith.
Right.
Because had he not just drawn it, he probably would have let the Diregraph Captain resolve. And he would have also... yeah, the reason you play it instead of playing Grave Titan is because you don't want to play that card post Grave Titan. It seems
just way,
just anti-synergistic.
Yep.
You might as well just pick up some free card advantage and then...
Exactly. You know, and the interesting part is if he drew that Black Sun off the Think Twice, then he definitely mistimed his spells a little bit. He should have flashed back the Think Twice, then Mana Leaked.
Nile Spellbomb, not too bad right now.
No, definitely fine.
See? Cantrip, value.
Counters all Snapcaster Mages effectively. Interesting that he just lets him untap, though. I might have cracked that Nile Spellbomb looking for a threat.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's no reason to not just go searching for Dral's Messenger.
Right.
And I think David does have a Mana Leak in hand, so it would not have been overly relevant, but, you know.
Question on Twitter, should Andrew really have kept a hand with no 1 or 2 drop against blue-black? He was on 6 cards.
Yeah, he mulliganed.
And it seems like this hand was fairly reasonable.
Yeah, he had, you know, 3 lands in action all the way across.
So Andrew Wilson must have other plans for that Nile Spellbomb because he just let Sharfman flash back a Forbidden Alchemy.
Yeah, maybe he's just leaving it in play for a Snapcaster range.
Yeah, wants to force David's hand and Snapcaster. I don't think that's right though. I probably just would have both. I probably would have killed both those alchemies in the graveyard right then and there.
Yeah, I think you just get a little bit of free value, draw an extra card.
Yep. Something a mono black deck or a virtually mono black deck can't do much of is get card advantage.
And as we talked about yesterday, you and I are both free card opportunists.
Right.
It's,
which is another reason why we want Tezzret's Gambit. Because it's a way for this blue-black deck to actually get card advantage, a way that it doesn't have.
You know what deck that card would be really good in? The blue-black Infect deck?
Yes. That would be perfect. That would be perfect in that deck. Basically reads 3 mana, shock your opponent, draw 2.
Number 1, come on up to the main event stage. I'm going to get you
It
started.
could do more even.
Yeah. Proliferate Contagion Clasp, Tumble Magnet. Well, in conjunction with Contagion Clasp with Tumble Magnet. So they played Drago for a while. Sharfman the last 2 turns has flashback 2 Forbidden Alchemies. Think twice in his graveyard. He has a full grip right now. And he'll start Drown Yarding Andrew Wilson. And again, he doesn't care if he mills any Grave Crawlers.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, maybe he has a curse already or something.
Right. He just wants to get this game over with because he knows that the more turns he gives Andrew, the more draw messengers he can draw, Phyrexian Obliterators, things like that.
Maybe he's hungry too. Maybe he wants to get some food before he plays some Legacy.
Yeah. Wants to try and get this over with.
He wants this match to last approximately 22 more minutes exactly. That way, round 1 of Legacy starts and he can get a bye because he was playing in the finals, and he still gets his food. Managing your time in that sense, pretty valuable.
Right. So Andrew Wilson finally cracks that spell bomb, removing Sharfman's graveyard. You have to wonder about the timing of that spell bomb.
I mean, and David's already gotten 2 free alchemies.
Right.
He would not have gotten.
Andrew Wilson, though, with a pretty full hand, he has 4 cards. An unusual spot for the zombie deck.
Yeah, 4 cards in hand this late in the game when you without any lands in play. Not very good, especially when
so Eric says on Twitter, playing the controlled game against blue-black control is a losing proposition. Yes, it is.
It definitely is. The blue-black control deck will out-control anyone.
Yep.
Hence the name.
Has the best long game of any deck in Standard. Blue Sun Zenith to deck them. Nephalia Drownyard to deck them. A million counters, a million removal spells, Grave Titans. So Sharfman just drawing cards, manipulating his library. Legally, of course. Playing Think Twice, he'll flash that back at the end of turn.
Or maybe he'll just Drown Yard twice.
Yeah, that's reasonable too. It seems like his hand's pretty stocked. I see at least 1 Dissipate. Yeah, and actually with a full grip, he's probably just going to be Drown Yarding.
I mean, it looks like his hand has Dissipate and double Dissipate.
2 Dissipates, wow. Sharfman pretty much has this game locked up. And so, yep, Sharfman does mill him twice, untaps, draws. He'll play a land for his turn. Oh, no, he'll move right to his discard. No land. He doesn't need to play
And you're
anything.
in a bad spot where your opponent is discarding Tragic Slip against your creature deck.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson, I'm sure he sees the writing on the wall, but he's not going to concede because stranger things have happened. Not sure what's in his hand. Looks like mostly black cards, not many land there. But he has to do something soon. His deck is getting pretty small there. Sharfman draws. I think that was another Tragic Slip.
Andrew Wilson might be biding his time, filling up his hand
Yep.
to go for like one big turn, try to power through things, and then just like return all the grave crawlers that have gotten milled.
Right.
But I think he may have waited one turn too long because if there are 13 or fewer cards in his library right now, which I think there are, he's just dead and he never even went for it.
Right. And even if there are more than 13, Sharfman will just be able to untap Black Sun, skip Million for one turn, and then resume the next. So
Yeah,
Dross
Sharfman's,
Messenger gets disputed.
Got it locked up.
Yeah. He definitely does. I'm really excited to see post-sideboard games, though. I would love to see Culling Deus in play.
So would I, and I can't imagine that could look good for David.
Right. There's just no way. If he can start getting a Gravecrawler loop going, it'll be Andrew Wilson getting the card advantage.
Yeah. On a lot of it.
Yeah.
Lots of lands for Andrew this game. You know, he's only playing 22.
Yeah, he's drawn almost half his lands. 9 out of his 22 lands.
You know, and more than half his library got milled. He's just...
Players, we've got one spot remaining.
Through his
He looked
graveyard.
like he didn't get like any lands milled.
Yeah, I don't see
There's
any
all the
lands.
lands.
I saw like 3 lands in that entire graveyard.
So maybe his hand's just all lands. That happens.
Yeah.
Not often, but...
And when you're the opponent, you're sitting there trying to figure out exactly what he has in hand. You're like, wow, what is he holding? What's he planning? Really, sometimes they just have all lands. So Diregraph Captain on the stack for Andrew. And it looks like that resolved. And now he'll go for a Metamorph. That'll copy the Captain, if Sharfman lets it. And nope, that's a Tragic Slip, which combined with the Curse should kill that Captain.
And then the Metamorph will have...
Right.
Well,
nope.
the Metamorph... Yeah. Can't target the...
Yeah,
then it just,
the Metamorph could have became a Mortar Pod there.
but it doesn't really matter. The
no.
Mortar Pod's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, Andrew instead decided to... Oh, okay. Well, there it is. So
David Sharfman, very generous with the takebacks in this top 8.
lets anyone take back anything when he has the game locked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Metamorph in the graveyard. So looks like the table judge ruled it was too late.
Oh my god, there's a judge there?
Sometimes. All right,
And a
so
Drown Yard?
Drown Yard.
And a Drown Yard.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson's deck definitely looks like it has fewer than 7 cards.
So 6 is the magic number right now? So it does not have
Not
6 or
quite.
fewer cards.
Certainly less than 12, though.
Yes. So,
This should be a scoop from Andrew Wilson. No Memories Journey is forthcoming.
doesn't seem likely. Felden's Cane, perhaps?
Felon's Cane. No Emeralds in his deck. So Obliterator. Sharfman will not care about that.
Sure.
I see Tribute to Hunger in his hand. Not to mention he just has his opponent dead. 6, 7. 7 cards in the library. Tribute you.
Because why not?
Showboat at this point.
Yeah.
Because he can. And Sharfman.
Flashy, Dave. Flashy.
Milieu.
1 card left. Oh, 2 cards left. Okay.
Milieu. And
sorry, I
that's
must
the
have
game.
miscounted, and that's it.
So David Sharfman takes game 1 through decking of Andrew Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, that's how the blue-black control deck wins about half of its games.
Yeah, it really does.
It's funny, you know, a lot of the games that you play during the Swiss, you can't really do that, even then when that's the optimal play, just because of time constraints.
Yeah, exactly. So you might have a
when
game
you're in the
locked
top 8,
up.
whenever
time
you
limit.
feel like quitting.
Exactly. He would love to make the legacy
World
open.
is your oyster.
Perfect. So we will be now giving away 1 year of Star City Premium. 1 full year. We did 3 months in the quarters. We did 6 months in the semis. Now it's a full year. So if you can answer our question correctly, what?
Oh, Replay Gen Con badge.
That's even better.
That's way better.
That's awesome. Okay, so apparently it's a Gen Con badge. that
Those
we're
are hard
giving
to
away.
get.
Yeah, and they're also more than $30, which would be Star City for a year. So we're gonna give away a Gen Con badge, which is awesome.
You know, there's only been one player ever who's won both Opens in a weekend, won the Legacy Open and the Standard Open. That was Jerry Thompson.
Yep.
Kind of a masterful master.
Yeah, Jerry Thompson sort of tore up the Star City circuit for about a full year when he cared to. He can sort of just turn it off and on at will.
Yeah, just
like a switch.
Yeah, but, you know, other players have come close. We've had players win at events and then top 8 another event. Last weekend, somebody did that. Somebody won one of the Opens and top 8 of the other one. That's a very, very impressive show. I'd like to know who that is.
Yeah, who's that person? That's our trivia question. Use the hashtag SCGPremium. You can tweet at us, it doesn't matter. Tweet at SCG Live, tweet at me or Jake. That's fine, whatever you want to do. But it has to have the hashtag.
Yep, just hashtag SCGPremium, that's the important part. And you'll give yourself an opportunity to win a free Gen Con badge.
Yeah. So
the Gen Con in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And that's the location of the World Magic Cup, isn't it? Ooh, the 16-player championship? Yeah. So you'll be able to watch Owen Turtenwald, Reed Duke, Junya Ianga slug it out.
Yeah. Samuel Estrade.
Yeah, that's one of them. Ryan Kibler.
Ryan Kibler also.
Not shabby names right there.
That's a pretty good list we got so far.
Not bad. So we'll announce that, of course, after the finals. And there you see the players sideboarding, shuffling up for game 2. Like we talked about before, Andrew Wilson will gain Nihil Spellbombs, he'll gain Distress, he'll gain Culling Deus, probably lose Fume Spitter, and some of his worst threats. He'll of course lose Tragic Slips, and probably all, if not, well, some if not all of his Geth's Verdicts.
Geth's Verdict's a card that, you know, could stay in, but I highly doubt it would.
Right.
It's just
sort of like Dispatch in that way.
Yeah, it's bad. I like the Nihil Spellbombs on the board. I'd bring those in.
Yeah, those are great.
I think the Culling Deus is super, super duper awesome.
Yep. And also, when you have the 4 Nihil Spellbombs in your deck, you can use them pretty aggressively too. You don't have to wait for a Snapcaster to target something. You can just get rid of any flashback card they have. Sharfman, on the other hand, Batterskulls, Wormcoil Engines, just like the Tempered Steel matchup. He might bring in Surgical to fight Gravecrawler. I'm not sure how much he actually cares about that card, though. It is good with Culling Deus. And since the players have full knowledge of each other's sideboards, I would actually expect to see Sharfman bring that in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got Surgical Extraction.
Yeah,
that's that crossboard. You can't lean on Curse that hard.
Right. Especially with only 2 copies, and your opponent has 4 Distress after sideboarding, that's just probably not going to work.
It's also worthwhile to note that you can Surgical a Geralt's Messenger with Undying on.
Right. That's huge too. Taking out one of your opponent's best cards, all the copies of it.
If Andrew can't somehow create more than 1 copy of Geralt's Messenger, it's going to be really, really hard for him to beat Dave.
Yeah, it is. Dave just has so much raw card advantage, so many answers to Andrew's threats.
So, I mean, I imagine if you're Dave, you probably feel like a little weird, being like you're in the finals, like, all right, what's my opponent play? You get hit of the deck list, and you're like, zombies?
Zombie apocalypse?
What?
Must be
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it must be a pretty good feeling. He was probably expecting more blue-black control mirrors at this tournament.
Probably.
I would be. After the GP results last weekend, 4 of them top 8'd, I think, right?
Yeah.
Well, 4 decks.
William Cow, friend of Ben Stark, and Louis Laskin and Megan and all of them. He, playing for top 8, lost.
Yeah.
Also playing for Black Control.
Yeah.
But he said that Dave was the only other person here he saw all weekend who was playing Blue Black Control. And obviously there were probably other people, but
the only ones at the top tables.
Only ones at the top tables.
That's crazy. Only 2 copies of one of the most powerful decks in Standard. But it is a pretty hard deck to play right as well. I mean, if you look at the names who top 8 of the GP, Dave Shields, no stranger to blue control decks.
He's pretty good.
A Grand Prix champion. Hollow Vitor, also not too shabby. Top 8'd,
he is
almost as many Pro Tours as Kai.
I think Paulo may be like third best now, all time.
I think there's a pretty good argument to be made for that. He top 8's 1 in 3 Pro Tours he plays in. Or 1 in 4 maybe. I forget the exact stat, but it's some insane number.
You know, but since Kibler's return to the Pro Tour,
yeah,
Brian Kibler actually has a higher average money intake at a Pro Tour than Paulo does.
Wow.
Even though Paulo is having like a top 8 retention of like 3.2, like one every like 3.2 PTs.
That's crazy.
Kind of ridiculous.
Brian Kibler.
Pretty insane when you're back in like a little bit of a 3-year stretch and you have 2 Pro Tour wins already.
Not bad. Yeah, I mean Brian Kibler back when he used to play when he was playing Riff, he made a lot of unorthodox deck choices. Wasn't as good of a player as he is now. He sort of took a lot of time off from the game, came back and just dominated.
Yeah, I mean he was always decent.
Yeah, he was always on that tier that's like could top 8 an event, but is not a favorite to top 8 an event.
Yes. Yeah. And since he's come back, he's
clearly just destroying.
Yeah, he is one of the best in the world.
Right. I don't think anyone would argue that. Andrew Wilson doesn't look that happy to be here, to me. He looks like he's really focused on this match.
That's how you should be. I mean, every single match you play, a really important thing for newer players is when you're going deep in a tournament, you've never gone deep in a tournament, don't think about the top 8 while you're playing your match. Don't think about your next match or the match after that or what your next matchup is.
Right.
You should be thinking about the game you're playing, and that's it.
And the turn you're playing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Andrew Wilson, this is a way better start for him. Turn 1 Gravecrawler. Already miles better than last game. The perfect foil, Nile Spellbomb.
The thing about Gravecrawlers, even when your opponent has the perfect foil to it, you still cast a 2-power creature for 1 mana.
Right. Jackal
Kind of insane.
Jackal Pup used to be the best red card of all time. And he keeps it aggressive. Phantasmal Image Gravecrawler, I like that play.
Sometimes that's just what you gotta do.
Yeah. I mean, Dave Sharfman, he only has 3 Black Sun Zenith in his deck. It's not that many. As we saw against Tempered Seal, sometimes he just doesn't have it. On another Gravecrawler. Wow. Sharfman could mana leak that if he wanted to. But it would, of course, just jump right back into play.
Yeah.
Let's see if Sharfman has it. Also important to know, he has to have a black source, which isn't that easy to do.
So he does have a black source here.
And it doesn't look like he has Black Sun. I think he would have just slammed that if he had. So Sharfman has to figure out how to deal with this crazy aggressive start from Andrew Wilson. He has 6 points of power on the board on turn 3. Facing down almost half his life total next attack phase. And if Andrew has something like a messenger or a captain to follow up with, oh, and there's the Black Sun. If I was Andrew, that would almost feel like a slow roll to me.
Yeah, it would feel like a slow roll to me. I don't think it was, though.
No, I mean...
And I think the fact that it may have not been a slow roll bodes extremely well for David.
That's true.
If you have to think about that Black Sun, but I have all these other great options.
Right. But I want to keep Mana Leak up, and I want to cast Forbidden Alchemy. Oh, wow, Andrew Wilson, no play other than land go. So Andrew Wilson went all in on his 2/1s, but Sharfman had the answer.
Oh, and a Giraffe messenger from Andrew.
Okay. Not the ideal turn. He would have liked to have used that when Sharfman was tapped out. This will just open it up to a Mana Leak.
Yeah, and that's definitely getting Mana Leak.
Yeah. So not the sequence of draws Andrew Wilson really wanted.
No, not at all. Now David gets to activate an Nile Spellbomb at the end of Andrew's turn, draw an extra card, and make sure that those Gravecrawlers are no longer going to be an issue.
This blue-black control deck just looking like a monster in these top 8 matches.
Oh, yeah. Picking people apart.
Yeah. And Batterskull comes down for Sharfman. Andrew Wilson has no good answer to that.
Not at all.
His only solution.
Sort of feast and famine on a guy, but I mean, having a guy is pretty hard at this point.
Right. Phyrexian Metamorph can copy Batterskull. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. And then you can even pay 3 mana and return it back to your hand.
Right. But he doesn't have it. Sharfman attacks with the Germ token, bringing the life total 16 to 18 in Sharfman's favor.
And the life totals are in your favor, the blue-black deck, before turn 6.
Yep.
Or before turn 7. Pretty good. And another Batterskull for Dave.
That should be the writing on the wall. This will only take a couple attack phases to end Andrew Wilson's life.
It's looking like David Sharfman is going to
Take
add
the
yet
title.
another notch to his belt.
Yeah. Andrew Wilson gonna try and prevent that though with his Diregraph Ghoul.
Diregraph Ghoul not going to cut it.
Not a good
spot.
matchup against two Batterskull wielding Germ tokens.
Not at all.
No.
Beep beep.
Under the bus. Oh, copying Batterskull. Okay. I'm interested to know which of those two cards Andrew Wilson drew this turn. I would have thought he would have cast both beforehand. But we'll see how David Sharfman deals with this Batterskull token.
He could just crash into it.
Yeah, he could do a few things. He could equip the Batterskull to the Germ to make an 8/8. He could just go for the Throat It, which he's doing.
That seems very reasonable.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have done.
Andrew Wilson falling to 8 here. David popping himself all the way up to 26 life.
Yeah, David on the brink of the Star City Open Championship.
And next turn, David Serra's ascendance will be very big.
We'll see if Andrew Wilson has any life left in him.
Yeah, now Andrew's probably his only play is going to be to equip that Batterskull to his Diregraph Ghoul.
Right.
And, you know, then he goes up to 15 with the attack, but David will just be able to double block.
Exactly.
So,
He'll buy himself a few more turns, but it probably won't be enough for him.
Almost certainly not. And, you know, if David has another go for the throat or a...
Pretty much anything.
pretty much anything, yeah.
Yeah, actually, pretty rare misplay by David Sharfman. Pretty obvious. He thinks he has this game locked up. He just casually tapped his Drown Yard. That's not a play we'd see him make if he was in any danger of losing this game.
Maybe he has something that he's certainly going to do with this mana on the end step.
Maybe.
And perhaps he has, you know, like...
Makes it a little more excusable.
Yeah, maybe he has
sure.
like a Dissipate and a Tragic Slip, in which case he
Sure.
can still cast it off the two. So, Tribute to Hunger.
And that's the match.
Okay.
Dave Sharfman, winner of Standard Open Tampa. Congratulations.
Yes. That. And Andrew Wilson, a really exciting deck, probably one of the better zombie decks I've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure.
Very much like his deck list. Awesome brewer.
Yeah, check it out
Well done.
on the Star City page because this is an awesome deck.